Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Atlantique department in Benin. Atlantique is a very small little section of Benin. And if I had my usual atlas out, you can't see any features because it's very tiny on my map. Let me zoom out so you can see the rest of Benin, so you can see just how small it is. Benin, if you don't know, is in West Africa. We have North Africa with the Sahara. We have Central Africa, or the heart of the jungle, the Congo, And everything over here is West Africa. So Benin is in West Africa. And like the name suggests, we are along the Atlantic here. This is the Gulf of Guinea. Very, very important area in world history. All along here and all along here as well. We'll talk about it. Atlantique is a pretty wet place. You can see the major lakes here. The big one is over here. This is Lake Nokoué, where we have the town of Ganvi. Now, I've always assumed it's Ganvi, but when I zoomed in, watch it not appear now. This section appeared right here. It says Ganvier with the accent. I assume it's Ganvi. Ganvi is a fascinating little city. It's nicknamed the Venice of Africa because, as you can see, all of these homes are stilt homes in the lake. Isn't that incredible? And of course they get around by boat and just live very watery little lives here. Let's see if we can't zoom out so I can show you a little slideshow. May as well just look at it now. Ganvi. It's opening up more and more to tourism. Most of the southern part of the Atlantique department is opening up to tourism in one way or another. So you can rent boats, from what I understand, and get a tour of this stilt city. Building some water towers or greenery, some kind of towers there. Wow. Very cool, right? A little tourist boat there. That's Ganvi. You can see to the south of this lake is Cotonou, which is the largest city in Benin, but we're not going there. We're going to look at the capital and largest city, Atlantique, which is Ouidah. Now, this name has gone through a lot of different pronunciations. It's currently Ouidah, which is the French version of what the locals would call it, which is Ouida, or I've also heard Ouida. It became Ouidah because, of course, it's French, right? But Ouidah is a very important city because this is where voodoo originated. This is voodoo country. They have big yearly voodoo festival. And there are some important voodoo sites you can see there popping up. Let me just check my notes, make sure I've got all the geography I wanted to mention before we head into the city. I got the origin of voodoo. Okay, I got it. Let's head in. So the original tribe that lived here were known as the Ouida. They're the ones that practiced this religion. They would eventually be conquered by the Dahomey in 1727. But I'm skipping ahead. They were very important to world history. They traded with the French and the English. The French and the English both set up forts in the area because they participated in the slave trade. I think they were the second largest slave trading group in, I want to say West Africa, but I think just Africa, period. Many, many, many people were captured and brought through here to be shipped out to the point where, let me zoom out so I can show you. We have Ivory Coast here, which is still called Ivory Coast, named after the ivory. Ghana used to be called Gold Coast because there's a lot of gold here. They changed their name to Ghana. And this was the Slave Coast because of all of the slaves that were shipped out. Some very famous slave ships in the triangular trade would dock here regularly to bring slaves to the Americas. The most famous being the Clotilda, which, let me check the year on that. 1860 was the last sailing of the Clotilda. That was the last slave ship that came to the United States. It came from Ouida here. I read ages ago this amazing interview by Zora Neale Hurston of one of the last survivors of the Clotilda. His name was Cujo Lewis, and he was, of course, an old man by then. This was like in the 1920s. She wrote this interview, and it's just absolutely fascinating. You should look it up if you have time. It's very heartbreaking, of course, but I think they've made like documentaries about the Clotilda. I feel like I've watched a documentary about the Clotilda. But very important aspect of American history began here. Once the slave trade was no longer viable because the British outlawed it in the they outlawed the trade in like the 1810s, 1820s, but slavery became illegal in the 1830s in the British Empire. They turned to harvesting palm oil in the area and illegal slave trading, of course. France invaded in 1894, made it part of French West Africa. And pretty much, independence came. All of those wonderful things. And it's been doing its own thing ever since. That is the loose history of the area. You can see also, I should show you the north. There's not a lot of pictures. There's actually like none in the more northern parts here, but you can see it gets quite jungly. Lots of little villages and things. I guess we could look. I think Alada is the only city I found that had some actual pictures. I think. Yeah, there's a statue there. An old hero. But yeah. But I know you all want to see the voodoo stuff. Because I want to see the voodoo stuff too. It's so fascinating. I should also say, if you're not a snake person, you probably may want to watch this with caution. Because snakes, in particular, in this place, it's ball pythons, which I adore because ball pythons are my favorite snake. I am a snake person. I love snakes. I think they're beautiful. I think they're fascinating. I think they're soft and sweet. But that's just me. And ball pythons are my number one favorite snake. Ouida means python in the Fon languages spoken here. It's that important to their culture. So if you are not a snake person, which I have known 2 people in my life who are not snake people, like they can't even look at pictures of snakes, be cautious. I don't remember how many snakes there are. There's also a bit of nudity here in the sacred forest, but it's not like graphic. It's totems and things, and it's not meant to be sexualized, right? It's just nudity. But let's head in. We're going to start at the museum here and see some beautiful sculptures here. We can see some more voodoo statues here showing the gods here. I forgot I was reading about this one with the multiple heads, multiple faces, more like. I think we'll see him again in the sacred forest. Yeah, lovely little museum here. This might have been, I love that one too. She's a mermaid. One of the buildings built by the French, probably, from the looks of it. But this is the holiest site in voodoo, the Python Temple. Temple de Python. And this is where many sacred rites and prayers occur. There's a big Catholic church right across the street, because in the culture here, they go hand in hand. One or the other is not forbidden. They're both a part of daily life. Big sacred tree out front. Big sacred tree here. You can see that ceremonies take place at this old tree trunk. Snakes carved into the walls. Paintings there. More ceremony sites. You can buy some little totems, little trinkets, little masks. I know I would. That would be awesome. Some paintings there as well. Little decor for your home. Help support the temple. Alright. No real snakes, so that's good. Always good to exercise caution, though, if you're not. If you're very hesitant about snakes, you know. But this is the sacred forest where a very important king was reincarnated into a tree here. So the forest is very sacred. We can see a deity here. Very important trees. There's another statue there. He's kind of cute. The sacred forest. I was reading about the Capaces, and that was, I believe, the tribe that came before the Haida that also brought this religion to the area here. Let's see, more deities here. And I love this one. That's a universal symbol, isn't it? The snake biting his tail. Oh, that one's kind of cool too. This is the tree that is the reincarnation of an ancient king. I should have written down his name. Looks like a totem pole there. And more very important deities here. All of them tell a story. I was watching a video about this one, about how this was a farmer that was plowing the land to farm, and the tree he was cutting down turned into a snake. And that was telling him, you know, this is sacred. Don't harm this land. It's really beautiful. Well, there's a book. But I think that's all of the sites I have to show you. Here. No, I don't. Nope. No, there's not. There's more to show you. This one's going to be pretty sad because it is a memorial to those taken in the slave trade. There's a lot of very sad statues and paintings here, reliefs here of the suffering that occurred during the capture and selling of human beings. There's big monuments here. They also have a door to nowhere here as well, but I don't know if there's pictures of it in this slideshow. Oh, here it is. Never mind. Ignore me. A door to nowhere facing the ocean. Very, very grim reminder of what once was just probably, in my opinion, like the darkest chapter in human history. There's nothing gets this more depressing as this. I mean, like maybe the Holocaust or something. But it's just the just amount of suffering that is just rippled down through many families, many decades, through many different means is just horrific. So places like this are very important so you can reflect and remember and collectively mourn those who were so horrifically abused. Are we still? I haven't seen this pop up. It says Monkey Sanctuary. Are there pictures, please? All right, we got monkeys. Let's end the video here looking at the monkeys because my phone's trying to overheat. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. If you really enjoyed this video, you're not going to want to miss the next one tomorrow because we're going to Madagascar. And we're going to see some beautiful nature, very much like this, but with that Madagascar flair, you know. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Monkey des Anges. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good night. Good night.